If Dolores Umbridge wasn't a Death Eater, or closely associated with the Death Eaters, how she ended up with Mad-Eye Moody's magical eye, which she so tastefully affixed to her office door at the Ministry of Magic. There is no way she just stumbled across his body randomly and picked it up, so how it ended up with her? Let's have a look again at what happened during that time. During the flight of 7 Potters, Moody and Fletcher were heading north. After the Order members scattered Voldemort, using his ability to fly, he went straight for them as he believed Harry would be flying with the most skilled witch or wizard in the guard, which was Aleister Moody. Fletcher panicked, crying out, and Moody tried to stop him, but Mandanka's disapparated, leaving Moody vulnerable to attack. Voldemort fired a killing course the second the Mandankas disapparated and hit Moody in the face. Moody fell backwards off his broom and down to the ground. Moody fell about 1,000 feet with no wind, making his death a certainty. Bill Weasley later volunteered to assist Remus Lupin in the search for Moody's body to give him a proper burial, but they could find no trace of it. Because Moody's body was recovered and his magical eye was taken by Dolores Umbridge, who used it to keep track of her employees in the British Ministry of Magic. Although I wouldn't be surprised if she was up there with the other Death Eaters attacking Harry, but I'm sure she wasn't an official Death Eater, as she was working for Fudge in the Order of Phoenix and was totally against the idea that Voldemort was back. Umbridge is mean, convenient, evil, but in a different sense than the Death Eaters. She wouldn't want to risk her life out there on a broomstick in the middle of night. She likes her creature comforts and the power she is able to practice from her chair in the Ministry. She enjoys doing things behind the scenes. One thought say that Mandanka's Filch took Moody's eye into his possession after the Battle of 7 Potters, and later, like Slytherin's locket, had to leave it to Umbridge. Fletcher likely returned to the scene later, found Moody's eye, which was a precious magical object, and took it. Fletcher is a notorious crook who keeps himself afloat with smaller rosary proofs, making him grave robbery, quite trustworthy. Umbridge caught him stealing any stolen objects, like Slytherin's locket, which he had stolen from Grimmauld Place. He wanted to sell, so Umbridge came to the locket, and it would be conceivable that she would take other priceless objects, such as Moody's eye, or receive them as a bribe. Maybe even Umbridge had been in contact with Mandankas in the past. When she bought Voldemort's locket, he took the eye and called Umbridge to make up things with her. I believe that Moody's eye was one of a kind. He's given the nickname Mad-Eye Moody after all. If there was multiple eyes like this, then I'll be sure to say that he wouldn't be given this nickname, as they'd be more common. It can rotate 360 degrees in Moody's head, and allowed him to see through anything, whether it's wood, invisibility cloaks, or even the back of his own head. It was an extremely worthy and powerful object. So here's the theory that makes the most sense to me. Umbridge claimed to be related to the Selwyn family, a pure-blood and high-status Weasley family, lying about how she obtained Salazar Slytherin's locket. Umbridge took it as a bribe from Mandanka's Filch, but told Hermione Granger, who was disguised as Mafalda Hopcrick through the use of Polyjuice Potion, that it was an old family heirloom. She was likely lying to bolster her own pure-blood status, and if that was actually true, there is also a Death Eater who has the surname Selwyn, who fought in the Second Weasley War, and especially in the Battle of 7 Potters. So there is a plausible avenue for her at least to find out about Moody's death, and quite possibly to come by the eye. So the Death Eater that chased Harry and the Order of Phoenix members ended up finding Moody's body before any other members could. He probably searched his body briefly for anything to use, and found his eye. This eye, seen as I mentioned earlier, extremely useful and powerful for anyone. So naturally the Death Eater would take a magical item of this worth. After he had finished with him, he probably made him invisible to hide him from the other members who searched for him. Although whatever he did, he probably did it as quickly as possible. And then, after the fall of Ministry, given to the Muggle-born Registration Commission's head, Dolores Umbridge, possibly as a gift. It was set in the wood of her office door and used to aid her in spying on her employees. When Harry, Hermione and Ron sneaked into the Ministry of Magic to find the locket Horcrux, Harry discovered the eye, and disgusted by how it was being used, he took it, and doing so, however, raised the alarm. After escaping, Harry early the next morning, and before the other two were awake, left the tent they were staying in to search the woods around him for the oldest, most gnarled looking tree he could find. Then in its shadow, he buried the eye and marked the spot by gouging a small cross in the bark with his hand. While it wasn't much, Mad-Eye Moody was given a proper burial, as far as was possible.